farm laws that Narendra Modi government has brought in are just a first step. They're not. This is not the final solution to doubling farmer incomes or things like that.
I think that the government, by introducing the legislations in a stealthy manner, by not having proper discussions, by running roughshod over the state governments, has actually created a lot of suspicion, which was not required in the first place. Currently, MSP is announced on 23 commodities, but procurement happens only on 2 commodities, that is rice and wheat, and that too in a few states, that is Punjab and Haryana mainly. In Punjab and Haryana, the procurement is open-ended. That is, whatever wheat and rice the farmers offer is purchased by the Food Corporation of India or the agencies of the state government. The Food Corporation of India for a couple of years now has not been wanting to pay the high commission charges, which the commission agents of Punjab are charging 2.5%. Secondly, it also does not want to pay the fee, cesses and fees, which is 6%. So the fear is that it might go outside the mandis to procure, which of course will not affect the farmers, but over a period of time, it might reduce the procurement.
Clearly, MSP procurement removes the, shall we say, the market uncertainty as far as the farmer is concerned, the price uncertainty. But the problem is that because you've got such a shortage of money with the government of India, the MSP is done essentially for 2 or 3 crops, and as I said, in 3 or 4 states, So for most people, let's say for all farmers in West Bengal, for farmers in, 80% of farmers in Uttar Pradesh, for 100% of farmers in Bihar, while you have the MSP, the private traders are not giving the MSP. So whatever price the private trader gives you in the mandi, and typically for most crops, the relationship of the mandi price versus the MSP, the mandi price is normally 20 to 50% lower than the MSP. So for most crops, for most farmers, the prevailing price is not the MSP, so the MSP is quite irrelevant. And so if you look at Punjab, during the Green Revolution days, used to be one of the fastest growing agricultural GDP states in the country. So over a period of time, because the MSP hikes cannot be that much, the Punjab farmer has actually managed to get only a very small growth rate. And there's a far greater growth rate when it comes to milk or fruits and vegetables, other, meat, poultry and things like that. So actually, in fact, as I've argued in my column today, that if the MSP system is to continue, and it will continue, if the MSP system is to continue, Punjab's decline to obscurity is going to go on. Because what is happening that other farmers are moving on to horticulture, they're moving on to livestock, they're moving on to areas which give them more money. Whereas the Punjab farmer is not doing that.
Before the central legislations were enacted, farmers could sell outside the APMC mandis, but they had to pay the mandi cesses because the cesses were payable in a notified area, not just in the mandis. And notified area meant a block or a district attached to the mandi. But the central legislation has now said that the cesses and fees will be payable only within the physical confines of a mandi and not outside, which means that, if you sell outside the mandi, you don't have to pay the charges. If you sell outside the mandis, these charges are not payable. And that is why the sales or transactions within the mandis will become uncompetitive if vis-a-vis sales outside. So this is what the farmers, particularly in Punjab and Haryana, fear, because in these 2 states, there's a dense network of APMC mandis. And the farmers there feel that if the mandis become uncompetitive, then over a period of time, they'll get weakened, and then they'll fall into disuse. And then their suspicion is that some corporates will then take over the mandis on the cheap. This feeling is particularly so in Punjab and Haryana, not elsewhere in the country, where the use of mandis is much less. For example, in Bihar, you do not have this mandi system. The APMC legislation was repealed in the last decade, but nothing has taken its place. So the Bihar farmers are worse off. Okay, so the Punjab farmers are feeling that if the mandi system collapses, their situation will become the same as that of the Bihar farmers.
What happens right now in the APMC mandi is that these are very tightly controlled by the Artiyas. So very often the farmer doesn't know what exactly is the price being, this is the RTR will tell you that this is the price I've negotiated. So there's very little transparency out there. So this is the reason why you want more choice. So it's not as though the APMC mandi is going away. So the farmer still can sell in the APMC mandi if he wants. But if he wants, he has a choice of selling in a non-APMC mandi. The big issue here is that it's not as though there are too many of these non-APMC mandis right now. In fact, the next step that the government will have to do will have to make sure that there's enough money. In fact, you'll have to have the money that is given at the normal, interest subvention has to be made available to people who want to set up these mandis. As far as the issues is concerned of being taken for a ride by the middleman and things like that, let's keep in mind that today, if you leave aside the MSP-based procurement, which actually happens in 4 or 5 states, if you leave aside the MSP-based procurement, which is essentially for wheat and rice, in any case, most of the purchases that are taking place by private sector players. So, to argue that suddenly people are going to be, they're going to be moved away from the safety of the MSP and they're going to be put into private sector hand, that's not true, because for most people, this is the case even today.
You require a dispute settlement mechanism. In the APMC mandis, there is a dispute settlement mechanism. If the farmers are not paid, then the commission agents will stand to lose their license. Okay? Whereas if you buy from outside the mandis, who do the farmers go to? They can insist on cash payments, advance payments before they part with their produce. But in the case of, let's say, fruits and vegetables, high value fruits and vegetables, there are instances where there have been payment defaults by traders. Traders give an advance because these are high value items, and then they say they'll pay the rest within a week or so, and then they don't pay. If the traders are from within the locality, it's all right. But if the traders are from outstation, then it becomes a big problem because the farmers cannot chase the traders.
So crop that is being sold today is being sold through the private parties. And whenever there's a dispute, whatever mechanism they have today, they use that. So it's not as though, dispute resolution is something which will suddenly come up when the private sector comes in. So that's one point I want to make. Second point I want to make is that when the government of India or the state governments, when they start creating more mandis and things like that, certainly they need to work very hard on creating a dispute resolution system. In fact, the dispute resolution is not only the, let's say a corporate, a big company, let's say Reliance Retail or some, Carrefour or somebody like that. It's not only about the big companies buying, entering into a contract with a farmer, they're not honoring that. That is one kind of dispute that we can see. But it's very possible that these companies, enter into a contract with a farmer to buy grade A apples. And instead of grade A apples, they actually get grade B apples. So then, they want their money back. So the disputes go both ways. And certainly, you need a very robust dispute settlement mechanism. The government of India needs to, help the states put that in place.